Hello everyone and welcome to another Dash Enterprise video. In this episode, we are going to be talking about how to set up an authentication system to protect our applications that we are deploying. So I've been working on this and testing, and this is a 3D model software that I created, which allows me to have interactive components, which can show the size of these interactive components. You can switch between them, and it's just pretty cool. But I don't want everybody to have access to it. I only want specific people to have access to it, as it's still in development. So just to kind of show how I can go about setting that up, if I go into the workspace itself and if I go to the application, you can go to the access section and then you can edit access, and there are three options. You can go to restricted. This restricted access is only going to be accessible for the individual user that created it and co-owners. So those are going to be the only people that will have access to view this application. You can go to authenticated, which will make it so that people have to log in to see the application, or you can set it to unauthenticated so that anybody can see the application. Now, we'll go with authenticated for now, and then we will go over to Keycloak. So whenever you set up a Dash Enterprise subscription, you are given a Dash Enterprise workspace account, and then you're also given a Keycloak account, which you can log in and you can set up authentication for the overarching applications that you're building out. So just to kind of show this in action, we can go over to the users section, and then we can go over here to add a new user, and you can create a required user action whenever they go to log in. For example, if you wanted them to verify their email, and then you could put a few of these in here. But we'll just do verify email. And then after that, all you really need is you need a username, and then you set up a group, and then it will send them an email asking them to join so that they can log in and all that. So let's kind of talk about groups. Groups are pretty interesting, and as you can see here, I set up a management group, but for whatever group that you're trying to set up, you just go over here to create group. So if I just have an IT group, for example, for those working on the IT side, I can create an IT group, management group, free tier, or whatever the reasoning is, but it's good to be able to group users. So within here, I click on this new group that I just created, and then I could go to role mapping, and then I can assign a role, and then within here, there's a selection of options for what do you want this role to have access to. So for an IT role, maybe we want to give them everything, but just for the basis of this video, we'll just say, all right, if you're in the IT role, then you could just view the applications to see what I'm working on. So we can assign that role. Then if we go back over to user, and if we go over to add a new user, and if we go over to join groups, then we can select the IT group, and then when this user is created, they will only have access to view the application. So with that all set up, we can click on this and we'll still have access to it. And if we copy this URL, we can see that this is working by just going down to the browser. After copying that URL, we can go into an incognito URL, and we can just paste in the URL of the application. And then whenever that loads in, you can see that they are required to log in to reach the application. So if you set up a user, they'll be able to put in their email password and their password that they created, and then they will be able to see the application as it is. So with that, authentication doesn't need to be that difficult. I love the way that Dash has worked with Keycloak to provide a robust authentication system. You can scale this even further. For example, if you'd like to set up a social authentication system within your Dash application, Dash Enterprise does support that through their package Dash Enterprise Auth, where you can look through the documentation and you can get an idea of how to use this. But ideally, this is just a package that you can bring into your Dash application, and then what you would do is you would configure it within the application itself, and then you would set up a social authentication system. What this entails is you would go to the provider that you're looking for. So you can think of this as like Google Cloud, or if you're using GitHub, there's a GitHub sign-in, or Microsoft, but all these different providers which have like that one-click sign-in functionality are available. And then what you would do is you would go to their console. So for this example, this is going to be the Google Google Cloud, and I would set up the URL that I would be using, and then I would specify which authorized redirect URLs are going to be allowed, and then I would just copy the client secret and the client ID, and then within the documentation it does specify on how to go about setting that up. But that's a little outside the scope of this specific video. What I'm trying to articulate here is that Dash Enterprise supports all different authentication methods, and with this specifically, there are 3 different options that you can choose from in regards of trying to directly allow users into your application. You can restrict it so that only those who are working on the application currently, if you're in a development stage, that'd be the best option, where only you and other co-owners can access it. You would click on restricted. You can click on authenticated, where they need to authenticate through the Keycloak option, or you could set it up as unauthenticated. And then lastly, there is that package which you can use to set up authentication as well for your Dash application. So with that overarching, this is a very complex topic, and it's very specific to the structure and what your goals are within the applications that you're building for the method that you would go about building it out. But I just wanted to articulate the different paths that you can take, and I hope that this video was interesting and useful, and it gives you some direction on where to focus your resources to. So with that, thank you for watching. If you like the video, please, like and subscribe. And with that, I will see you guys in the next one.